Thank Good evening, everyone. We will be beginning with the program within next 5 minutes. Good evening, everyone. Due to some technical glitch, we will be starting shortly with the program. I request all of you to wait patiently till we get back.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a glad welcome we bring to you this event filled with the desires, hopes, and dreams we all share. I, Ms. Syed Batul Zaidi, take immense pleasure to initiate this thrilling and most awaited event of today. With a heart of full pride and delight, I wholeheartedly welcome our Honorables CMD Mr. Bipin Pote sir, Managing Trustee, respected Mrs. Meenal Pote ma'am, Vice President and Business Development Head and Trustee, respected Mr. Bhushan Kute sir, respected Principal Mrs. Hina Falke ma'am, HR, respected Mrs. Bina Nair ma'am, Pre-K Head Coordinator Mrs. Sabita Rao ma'am, I feel immensely delighted to welcome the wonderful speakers for today's event. Mr. Vikram Patel, sir, from Kriya University, Ms. Jinal Shah, ma'am, from Ashoka University, Dr. Sheila Mahapatra, ma'am, from Alliances University. I would also like to welcome our respected coordinators, beloved teachers, as well as non-teaching staff, and last but not the least, my dear friends. All successful people have a goal. No one can get anywhere unless he knows what to go and what to do or be. And to help you figure out where you want to go and what you want to be or do, we, the Cambians, have come up with the first virtual university fair, Kalyan Dombivali. The purpose of conducting and hosting the virtual university fair wants to provide all the confused learners with one-stop destination for all the queries regarding the courses and universities. We want to help you all not only with your goals, but we also want to make you ready for your plan B. We, the learners, want to create awareness about the availability of courses and show other learners like us the path of their future. So, without wasting much of our time, let us kickstart this event with a lot of positivity and zeal. I would now request my friend Ayusha to take the session forward.
I am sure each and every one of you is eager to hear from the speakers. But before that, I would like to request our respected CMD, Mr. Bipin Pote sir, to address the gathering and to give his valuable inputs to all of us who are aspiring to be like him. You have motivated people by being a living example, by sharing your expertise and knowledge. I'm sure everyone over here will be motivated.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all the students. Morning, I must say morning program went really well, and all the students of Cambria International School and the team who had arranged this first time virtual fair in Kalyan Dombivali had really a good success. So well done all the students. Wonderful. And this is, we are meeting again in second slot, second time. Many of the students, while introduction, Bitul were explaining that we are here to help if you're confused. According to me, if you're confused, it's a sign of intelligence. Agar aap confused ho, to that means you are thinking something, you're planning something, you're having many thoughts. There are many who are not able to even think. So anyone who is confused in career choices, career decision, it's a good sign, I must say. It shows you're having intelligence and you're using that intelligence and you're thinking something. So yes, entire Cambria school student who had arranged this virtual fair, university fair, they had been in everything, all coordinations they were doing, and they really want to understand the different universities, different university courses, future courses, and they really want to help other students as well from other schools, from the community, from the student community. And here, the Cambria team of the all the team member, teachers, and principal, and all were training them, helping them. So keep it up. Morning we had seen we were having three university symbiosis, flames and NIMS. All the three were, if you agar aapne suna hoga, all the three university were mentioning about the interdisciplinary approach. That's the crux. What is that interdisciplinary approach? Interdisciplinary approach is to see everything from all angles, combining things. I mean, जैसे मैं morning बता रहा था कि there were many years we had been trained to see things only one way. I mean, मैं कॉमर्स जाऊंगा तो मैं फिजिक्स नहीं लूंगा, मैं आर्ट्स करूंगा तो मैं साइंस नहीं लूंगा. So that is something that is not called interdisciplinary approach. I mean, interdisciplinary approach is seeing everything in combined, seeing everything in one different perspective. I mean, learning maths not for the exam, but learning maths to manage house, learning maths to manage your own life. That is called the interdisciplinary approach. Seeing that subject through the different angle. Learning maths to understand the geography as well. I mean, I don't know how many of you are. Morning में बता रहा था कि this is really today. Jet Boys is launching the shuttle, and Kalyan student is part of that. I don't know how many of you are aware that in Japan, in China, in dating site जो है आजकल ट्रेंड में है, dating site पे हर एक dating site पे उन्होंने they had put the CIBIL score. Now what is CIBIL score? If you'll ask your father, mother, they will understand the CIBIL score. CIBIL score ये होता है कि if you are taking any loans from any bank, any institution, financial institution, if you are repaying it on time, तो आपका CIBIL score अच्छा होता है. If you are taking loans from any institution and if you are giving that on regular basis, तो आपका CIBIL score बनता है. And that CIBIL score tells a lot of things about yourself. And if you are having CIBIL score more than 750, that means you are regular payer. मतलब आप bounce नहीं करते हो, you are paying regular installment. And the China and the Japan, these people had put the CIBIL score on dating site. If anyone is on dating site, उसका CIBIL score वहाँ पे आता है. It's again, I'm calling this as the interdisciplinary approach, seeing the person how responsible he is. It's not only how he looks, how he talk, but उसके action क्या है. And these are the things which helps us. That is called the interdisciplinary approach. And because that was lacking in Indian education system, morning I was mentioning 3 issues in education system. The one is extremely disengaged student. मतलब they are in their own world and school and college are going in a different way. So जैसे Mark Twain ने एक बार बोला था कि I had dropped my school because that was coming in between my education. तो एक तरीके के बच्चे हैं जो completely disengaged है. Second, the real life challenges connection in curriculum, that was something I was mentioning, and we as a school and college wanted to bring a lot of case studies, real life challenges, so student will be ready for all kinds of challenges in life. So this is one of the initiatives. So arranging event, communication, coordination, teamwork, collaboration, critical thinking, क्या होगा क्या नहीं हो सकता, all these things they are learning practically. So interdisciplinary approach, that was something was missing in our education system. जैसे मैं पूछता हूँ कि बहुत लोगों को, how many of you are aware what is the educational background of Mark Zuckerberg, who had invented the Facebook? तो अगर आप Google करोगे उसे तो then you will come to that he had done psychology and coding. So while he was doing coding, तो उसने psychology भी करी. So that's the reason he understood that what is the human psychology, and people love to connect. And because that interdisciplinary approach was there, he had invented it, Facebook. So many times I generally think why the Facebook, Google, YouTube, Twitter, all these big tech company, India में क्यों नहीं बने? I mean, if you see and if you will find out that this company are managing by Indian but created by the foreigners, Microsoft, Google. So there is something in education system is lab-brain oriented education system, which asking you to think, write everything from the exam perspective, and that is how the system is working. But in 21st century, this type of work will not happen. I mean, many of the jobs we were not ready. In fact, अगर हम लोग देखेंगे, before 5 to 10 years, we were not ready for this kind of job. Drone operator, social media manager, Uber driver, driverless car, cloud computing, sustainability manager, YouTube content creator, online physician. ये W Health, World Economic Forum से हमने ये लिए हुए. तो you can see many of our education system were not ready to create that kind of skill. These things I called the real life challenges gap. So students were taking engineering education, but they were not aware that कि मुझे driverless car की engine के लिए कुछ काम करना है. तो ये हमेशा पीछे रहता है. While you are taking education, you need to always think and plan what will be needed in future, and that anticipation, that strategies you need to club you should club that in your foundation. Like in 11th 12th, from you should plan such thing that whatever the career I'm going to select, first 2 years I'll explore myself with a different subject, different topic. In Cambria, we believe the interdisciplinary approach, and that's the reason we are offering different subject. I mean, here we are not asking student to take only science, then science student cannot take the art subject and commerce subject. No, they can take the combined subject. You can take physics with business studies, economics with chemistry. So this is called the interdisciplinary approach. That's be needed, because then it asks you to create thing rather than follow it. It will teach you to collaborate, because in exam we are believing the system called number 1, number 2, number 3, but in practical life things are not working that way. It's all collaboration. Today we are seeing that the morning we were having 3 universities, they were communicating with each other, they were giving question and answer, and we were asking them questions. So it's form of collaboration. They are collaborating with schools. So many times we think, why not all these big companies had been created in India? Because the interdisciplinary approach, thinking process should develop through the education. It should not be only restricted to the right or learn everything for the exam perspective. No, we want students who are really interested to, जैसे मैं morning बता रहा था, we need more problem solvers, because this world will need more problem solving human being, because many of us are not aware what kind of problem we will face. हमें मालूम ही नहीं कि फ्यूचर में हमारे challenges क्या हो सकते हैं. So what we need to be adaptive along with intelligence. You need to adapt many things. Morning में मैंने बताया, I had seen there are many new students had also joined right now. So we were discussing about that the 10 billion people on this planet, multi-planet living option, Moon, Mars, Earth, 3 planets. You will be having option to lead 5 careers, not 5 jobs. You will do the 5 careers that had already started. Then Symbiosis, they were discussing that currently many of your parents are doing the job which they were not ready, or they did not take any formal education for that. So the one of the important part I would like to explain, and then I'll conclude. Believe the world called process. जैसे आज you, me, and we all are connected through Zoom, but Zoom had been not created during the pandemic. That had created 4-5 years back. There were people, they were not using Zoom. They had created long back. So that's the reason we could use it. जैसे many of the Indian had transfer on the Jio पे चले गए हम लोग, Jio internet use कर रहे हैं. So अगर मैं 5-7 years back चला जाऊँ तो we were seeing that कि Reliance were putting the cables everywhere in road. So people used to think ये कर क्या रहे, ये सब जगह पे मट्टी खोद रहे, they are putting money, efforts, but अभी तो फायदा कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. So they were aware that internet will be a key, and they were putting all India sub cables they were putting, and उस time पे they were not earning any money or nothing, but they were putting 100% effort, they were giving a lot of energy, and they were investing money. So these are your foundation years, which whatever you are going to do it, which will help you in future. That's the word called process. Understand the process in this next 2 years. If you are right now in 10th standard, next 2 years, whatever the process you will do, whatever the process you will follow, that will help you in future. These are your foundation years. So be with the people who are really thinking for the future, not for the exam. Be with the people who are not planning you to put in the rat race. कि सभी भाग रहे, 17 लाख बच्चे नीट और जेईई में बैठते हैं, 1000 बच्चों का रिजल्ट आता है, बाकियों को मालूम ही नहीं करना क्या. यूपीएससी एमपीएससी में ऑल इंडिया मिलके 1000 सीट्स होते हैं, बैठते 10 लाख बच्चे. सीए सीबीटी का रिजल्ट लगता है 2% एंड अपीयरेंस बच्चे हो रहे 12-13 लाख. Others are not aware, they are not having plan B, plan C. So in Cambria, we believe these 2 years you should explore a lot of profile building activity. You should select your major subject. You should select 5-6 subject, and out of that you should plan 2-3 subject which will do the career. मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ, understand your universe before university. So science एक stream है, वो universe है. तो NEET और JEE एक one simple component है. 100, 200, 500 careers are there. Same way commerce arts. So every field is like, they say the education industry is universe. Out of that, school is one part, coaching classes is one part, NEET and JEE education is one part, post 12th education is one part. To select your universe before university, and to select your universe, you should have decision making skill. Decision कौन से basis पे होता है? According to your awareness and your experience, and that new experience, if you will take, then only you can take the right decision. To take the right decision, I'm always asking student and parent to listen only experts. Free का advice देने वाले बहुत है, but they are not having right knowledge. What will be need of future? What skill in future you will need? So be with the company. There is a saying, you become the average 5 people you hang with. Whatever your company will, if I'm asking what will be your future, अगर मुझे देखना है तो मुझे आपके इर्द गिर्द के 5 लोग देख लिए मैंने तो मैं समझ जाऊंगा how you are going to do in future. I'm asking many students that how much money we are paying Netflix every month. So many students say sir 800 rupees per month अगर 5-6 लोग देखने वाले चाहिए. But I'm saying you are not paying 800 rupees. Your time, they are taking your time, and that time value is not 800 rupees. It's in thousands of rupees, thousand lakhs of rupees time they are taking. So Netflix 800 में नहीं आता, Facebook, Instagram free नहीं है. They are taking your time. So morning I was explaining that all the people, the politician, the YouTuber, the coder, and everyone, content creator, they all want your time, energy, and attention. They want your time, your energy, and your attention for their own benefit. Everyone is trying hard to keep you engaged. And this is in this difficult time, in this hormonal body is changing, your thoughts are changing, you're confused. And इस time में सब लोग आपका attack कर रहे हैं, YouTube, OTT channel, mobile, games, I mean all the social medias. और इसमें आपको सोचना है कि what is my future plan? Guys, I know this is the really difficult task. I mean, if लास्ट से 15-20 साल पहले ये चीजें थी नहीं, उस टाइम पे भी कोई पढ़ाई नहीं कर रहा था. You are really having tough time. In सब distraction में, you need to think for yourself. Everyone is attacking on you, directly, indirectly. आप सुबह उठते हो तो you are already connected to the global market. The toothbrush you are using, toothpaste you are using, everything is global. Everything is from global market. The phone जिस alarm से आप उठते हो, everything is global market. So you are already in competition. Just you need to look within. How I am going to live this life? Am I सबसे important question होता है कि मुझे करना क्या है? And these are some of the important questions which Siri and Google will not give you any answer. That you need to find out. And ये answer मिलने के लिए you should follow some process. And in 10th standard you cannot decide your destiny. You can at least decide direction. और इस डायरेक्शन में कौन सी चीजें मुझे लगेगी, उस हिसाब से you should select the curriculum, you should select the college, you should select the courses, you should select your foundation किस तरीके से होगा, क्योंकि मुझे इस दिशा में जाना है. तो there were morning some student were asking me, मुझे केमिस्ट्री भी अच्छा लगता है, मुझे फिजिक्स भी अच्छा लगता है, मुझे इकोनॉमिक्स भी अच्छा लगता है, मुझे बायोलॉजी भी अच्छा लगता है. Then I'd ask, you can take all the subject, 2 years explore all the subject, and then decide which will be your 3 major subject, 4 major subject which you will you will do your career in that subject. So this is what the Cambria School is believing. So all the students who had really worked hard to arrange this event, well done. Second, all the universities, morning universities, I would like to appreciate all the universities who really had taken efforts to join us in Kalyan Dombivli event. मॉर्निंग में मैंने बताया कल्याण की एक बच्ची अमेज़न के सीईओ के प्लेन के टीम में है. सो यूनिवर्सिटी जो मेरे बाद आएंगे, मुझे उनको बताना है कि देयर आर लॉट ऑफ टैलेंटेड स्टूडेंट इन कल्याण डोंबिवली, लॉट ऑफ टैलेंटेड स्टूडेंट. दे जस्ट नीड गाइडेंस एंड पुश. दे कैन क्रिएट मिरेकल्स. एंड थर्ड, all the students who had joined again morning, you all had we were little bit skeptical कि morning 180-90 थे, अभी कितना था, almost 160, only 10% drop. This is something good sign that the parent and student are really thinking for the future, for the career. And इस event का नाम है My Career My Decision. when the word come mind, इसका मतलब ये आपकी लाइफ है. जब लोग बोलते हैं देश किसका, देश हमारा है, तो हमारा देश किसी का नहीं होता, इसलिए वी ऑल आर, कहीं पे भी गार्बेज हम लोग फेंक देते हैं, सब जगह पे गार्बेज हो जाता है. बट जब बोलते हैं घर मेरा है, तो मैं घर में नहीं फेंकता हूँ. सो वैसे ही लाइफ आपकी है, इट्स योर लाइफ, इट्स योर डिसीजन. अगर इस लाइफ और इस डिसीजन में आप खुद प्रोसेस को समझोगे नहीं, डेटा नहीं लोगे, सोचोगे नहीं, तो इट्स एंड ऑफ द डे इट्स योर लाइफ. इट्स you're not taking decision for the any other life, you're thinking for your life. And to think about your life, this is the right time you should start think seriously. So enjoy all the stuff, watch movie, watch TV, you can use the mobile. I'm not against of this thing, but same time start thinking about the future, about your life, about your career. That's the important for us. So thank you all the university who had joined. Well done team, Cambria team, and all the students who had arranged this event, and all the students who had again joined this event. Keep it up. This kind of attitude will definitely help in your lives. So over to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. You are our constant source of inspiration and motivation. I would now request my friend Tia to take the session forward.
Moving forward, a great principal builds character, inspires dreams, encourages creativity, builds confidence, instills a lot of learning, touches our heart, and changes our life. The most serene personality of our esteemed institution with 18 years of experience in the field of education. I request our beloved principal, respected Mrs. Hina Falke ma'am, to address the participant.
Thank you, Tia. A very good afternoon to Vipin sir, to all my team members, to all my lovely learners, and all the participants who are our guest visitors who are watching this program. At Cambria International School, we believe providing opportunities and we help them to explore new platforms always, all the time, in specific to students. And today's program is the clear proof of providing good platform to children. And I must say and share with all of you that our children have by themselves done this program, from inviting the universities to taking responsibility of hosting out the event and doing a lot of back-end work. Of course, there is a support of the mentors who trained them, but doing finally everything by themselves, I would say kudos to all my lovely learners. You have done a wonderful job, and I can see the success today, and I can see the smiles on your faces. Well done, I must say that. And to all the other students and parents who are listening to us, Bipin sir has said a lot of things about 21st century skills, about requirement of choosing different kind of combination of subjects. Main thing is opportunity. Our college is having the opportunity for the students to select combination of subjects. It provides opportunity to students to express themselves, to come out and talk. They do not only create arenas and platforms for themselves, but they also try to create platforms for other children, like today's program, University Fair. It's a kind of a social cause which will help the students who are listening to the different universities very shortly. They will carry a lot of learning with them, a lot of takeaway with them, which is otherwise not possible. And I'm very glad that we are becoming a platform of providing university experience to the students of 10th standard who are yet to start their career. So exploit this opportunity, listen carefully to the university speakers, and take away home a lot of knowledge and learning, because preparedness is very, very important. once you are prepared, once you know what to do in your life in future, and the wheels of preparation starts rolling the moment you appear for your 10th standards, which is very important. And when you keep your eyes open that way, then success is no far away from you all. With this, I again request my students to take this program further. All the best to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your motivating words. I would now request my friend Sakshi to take the session further.
Thank you, Tia. The first university that we have with us is Kriya University, and their topic is Modern World of Work and the Role of Interwoven Arts and Science. I would like to welcome the speaker, Mr. Vikram Patel, Assistant Director, Outreach, Kriya University. With expertise in brand communications, strategic planning, and creative direction, Vikram sir has over 7 years of experience in education outreach and communications. Prior to taking up the promotion of liberal education in India, he worked with the Indian School of Design and Innovation, Mumbai, as a part of founding project team to increase the awareness for education in design and innovation across the country. He is the rank holder and graduate in computer applications from Mangalore University and has a master's degree in business with a major in brand communications from ITM Business School, Navi Mumbai. Vikram sir is passionate about bringing inclusion and access in higher education. Over to you, Vikram sir.
Thank you so much, Sakshi, and thank you all for being here. And really, I don't know what to say now because already so much has been said by Mr. Bipin and Principal Ma'am. I really did not know about the school, and I'm so happy that we are talking to all of you. And I, like Sakshi has introduced, I'm a part of something called an outreach team in a university called Kriya. The next 20 to 25 minutes that we will spend with each other, I really am very inspired by what Mr. Bipin said, right? In terms of how you should think about careers or how you should think about, your future. If COVID-19 has taught us anything in the last 18 months, is that the world is going to be more and more unpredictable. What's going to happen tomorrow, we don't. Right? Things are changing at a much faster pace. So I can't imagine for students who are sitting in front of these screens at your homes, your parents, what kind of confusion you must be going through. So for the next 20 minutes, let's focus. So I will obviously talk a little bit about Kriya, but I'm more going to talk about how is the world of work changing? What are the jobs that are coming up? What are the trends that you're seeing in recruiting, for instance? What are the kind of skills that might be required in the future? And basis all of this that's changing in the industry, what should change in higher education? And what should you look for when you're thinking of a career and when you're thinking of a university degree? Right? I'm also joined by one of our students, Sanjana. Sanjana, if you could unmute yourself. So Sanjana is an incoming third-year student at Kriya University. She is from Bombay and she's graduated from Jai Hind. She's done her FI and SYJC at Jai Hind. So Sanjana, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you've done so that the students can actually relate to what you've gone through.
Hi, I am Sanjana Hadandi. I am currently going into my third year at Kriya University. And I am doing a psychology major and a concentration in mathematics. And I did the state board, which is HSC for my 11th and 12th grade, and I did humanities. I also did math along with my humanities, which was a little bit unusual, but yeah, that's me.
Thank you. So we'll both come back to you and talk a little bit, but let me just first share my screen and tell me if it's visible. Yeah. Let me just, 1 second. Yeah. Yes. So students, is the chat open for everybody? I just wanted to check. Can people type in the chat box? Who's the admin? Okay. Yes. Okay, great. Okay, awesome. So before we start talking about the context, right, I wanted to show you a few images and really put things in perspective of how things are changing in the 21st century, right? I want to ask this question to all of you, and I want to keep this very interactive, right? So what's the first picture that you see on the top left? Who is that person who's sitting on the table? Can anybody identify who that person is? And maybe answer it in the chat box. Who do you think that person is who's facing all the cameras, for instance? Anybody knows? Absolutely.
Mark
Namita,
Zuckerberg.
yes, great. Absolutely. He is Mark Zuckerberg, right? CEO of Facebook. And this particular picture is taken, when he was called to the Congress in the US to answer for questions about how Facebook uses data, for instance. Now, in the world that we live in, data has become more and more, required, and more, today you come to hear about talks about data hacking and data privacy and how companies like Facebook or big tech companies use data. So this was a time where he was grilled for hours and hours on how Facebook uses private users' data. Data privacy has become a very, very important issue around the world. Look at the second picture. What is that? Of course, that's the Supreme Court of India. But do you understand what the case was about? Anyone wants to answer? You can also unmute yourself and answer. Does anybody know what it was about? Okay.
Cambridge Analytica, I guess.
Sorry?
Cambridge Analytica.
Analytica, absolutely. So actually the second picture is about the Aadhaar card and this whole issue when the government of India actually came up, by saying that Aadhaar card is this one national identity and it's going to be mandatory for everybody to use Aadhaar. And Aadhaar has to be linked with every mobile number, every bank account, and in many ways, the government tried to collect information about its citizens through the Aadhaar card. And there was a big uproar, and of course, there were a lot of people who said Aadhaar card is not safe, and we have the right to privacy. We don't want to use the Aadhaar card because it is unconstitutional. And finally, the case went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that Aadhaar card cannot be made mandatory in many cases, right? So this was a huge decision again, which involved politics, which involved philosophy, which involved ethics, which involved data rights. So a lot of these things came into play in this case. What is the third picture? Can anybody identify what city that is? It's pollution, absolutely. That is Delhi. It is a picture from Delhi, taken a couple of years ago, about 3-4 years ago, before, of course, the COVID pandemic, and look at the pollution levels in the city, right? And this is typically happens when there is a lot of crop burning that happens around Delhi, right? Is this just a problem about pollution? It's also a problem about how people think, mentality, awareness levels among people, right? And pollution is one of the biggest problems. It is leading to a lot of, global warming. And we can see the effect of global warming now across the world. I don't know how many of you have been reading news, but what's happening in Europe in the last 2, 3 to 4 days is devastating. In India, you see many states and cities that are having floods, and then there are many cities and states that has droughts, and there's very uneven rains, very uneven winters and summers, and all of that is causes of pollution, for instance, right? There is one example is right here on the screen. What is the fourth picture? The first one on the right. Can anybody identify? Yes, absolutely. That is a picture of the Kerala floods. And again, one more example of how the world is changing and what do we need to do to make sure we understand the changes around us. This was Kerala floods. And according to a recent report that I was reading, it said that Kerala has lost, in the last 15 years, has lost about 40% of Kerala's beaches have been lost to global warming and rising temperatures. That is an alarming number, very alarming for all of us. So if you today want to be a biologist, or if you want to be a chemistry student, do you think sustainability should be taught to you? Right? For instance, these are things for you to think about. What is the fifth picture? It obviously gives it away. It says free Hong Kong and democracy. I don't know how many of you followed this, but Hong Kong, for instance, was a British territory for a very, very long time. And it was given to the UK on lease of 99 years from China after a war. And very recently, UK had to hand it over back to China, which is an anarchy. But Hong Kong continued to be a democracy. So it was to come under one nation, two governments, but obviously because of China's pressure and changing regulations, there was a lot of protest in Hong Kong. This case again talks about global relations. It talks about freedom of expression. It talks about various other socioeconomic aspects that come into play on how you would see that these agitations are not only in Hong Kong. You see that in a lot of countries now, people are wanting to do and are suppressing a lot of, are opposing a lot of suppression. And what is the final picture that you see on your screen? Can anybody identify? That is very easy. It is the COVID-19 pandemic, right? And when you spend maybe 2 minutes on COVID-19, you understand that is it just a public health situation? When it started, it was just a virus, right? Look at how this virus has impacted everything that we do right now. When India went into the lockdown in March or in April last year, you saw the biggest migration crisis that India has ever seen after partition. Nobody anticipated that there'll be such a big migration crisis, right? So suddenly from just a public health situation, it went into a humanitarian problem. Where do people sleep, eat? How do they travel in a lockdown? Then there was this huge uproar about countries fighting for vaccines and medications, US lifting sanctions and putting pressure on other countries. India was under a lot of pressure to supply some of the vaccines to the US, right? You saw how countries were fighting with each other. Then, of course, this whole thing about vaccines came into play. And what should vaccines be priced at? In India, we have Covishield and Covaxin. But when some of these companies wanted to price the vaccine a little higher, there was again a big uproar saying, how can you price vaccines so high, a life-saving vaccine like COVID-19? So there was economics at play, there was psychology, there was politics, there was sociology, there was biology, so many subjects. You need to understand so many things to be able to solve a public health situation like COVID. And when you look at any 21st century problem, just knowing one thing is not going to be enough for you to be able to solve that problem. That's really where we are moving towards. Problems are going to be more and more complex for you to be able to solve. Look at this slide, for instance, right? And Mr. Bipin spoke about the World Economic Forum. This is from a report from the World Economic Forum. It says, when will the future arrive? And it talks about technology tipping points. And they say that by 2025, this is what is expected to happen. They're saying that there will be a AI machine on a board of directors, on one of the corporate board of directors, a machine sitting on the corporate board of directors. There's going to be 90% of the world's population will have regular access to the internet. What does this mean for you? What does technology, everything today is impacted by technology. Whatever industry you talk about, whether it's mobility, 10 years ago, we did not need Ola and Uber. Today, we can't think of our lives without, being able to book an Ola or an Uber, right? For instance, I never went to a bank in the last 5 years. I have an ATM card and a mobile app, and I don't need to go to banks. What happens to those lakhs and lakhs of people who are in front-end banking services, for instance? Tesla is coming up with self-driven cars. What happens to the millions of drivers who earn their living only through driving cars, right? Look at Airbnb, for instance, how it's revolutionizing the travel industry. So look at education. In the last 1.5 years, the amount of technology that we've embraced, and many experts say that we will never be able to go back to the previous situation. It will always be hybrid learning going forward. So how does it impact what you want to study, for instance? So technology is going to be a part of all of our lives. And look at this slide, again, a very important slide, right? How machines will replace humans. And like Sir said, everything that is very clerical in nature will be automated at some point. Look at the last one in this slide, right? Information and data processing. In 2018, 47% of information and data processing was done by machines. And in 2022, 62% of jobs that will relate to only information data processing will be automated. Anything that is A plus B equal to C, you don't need human beings to do, because you don't need to think. It's just processing. Machine will do it better. And what are the kind of jobs that will retain with human beings? Look at the top of the list now. Reasoning and decision making, coordinating, developing, managing, advising, anything that require more human skills will retain with us, because it is hard to automate. You know, for instance, ethics. A machine doesn't have ethics. It doesn't have a moral compass that points towards the true north. It's only human beings. When you go on Facebook and you type the password 5 times wrong, Facebook will also not say that, you know, you've tried enough, I'll let you go now. It doesn't do that. It doesn't understand your issues. It doesn't understand your emotions or problems. Only human beings can do that. Jobs that will require all of these skills will continue to be with humans. That's what we will do in the future. Look at some of these jobs, for instance, right? One of the jobs is AI ethicist. Many of you, so when I was studying, I wanted to study computer science. Didn't want to specialize anything. But in your, now in your generation, you want to do AI and you want to do deep learning and you want to do data analytics within computer science. And in 5 years from now, just AI is not going to be enough. You will have jobs like AI ethicist, somebody who can create artificial intelligence solutions, but which are ethical in nature. You've seen how social media can be exploited to manipulate, for instance, right? So AI ethicist is somebody who will have to understand philosophy, history, along with mathematics to be able to do a job like this, right? Moving quickly forward, these are some of the skills that will be required. And this is from the Harvard Business Review, where they say 50% of the organizations will most value skills like communication, integrity, empathy, so you need to ask a question saying, whatever degree you're planning or whatever career you're planning, does it involve any of these skills? And if it does not involve any of these skills, maybe it's time for you to rethink about what you want to do, right? Because these are some things that will be required. And finally, coming to education, right? How should education change? Unfortunately, the world is changing at such a fast pace and education is not. We are still teaching curriculum that was designed 10, 15 years ago. Faculty members are still teaching the same thing that they were teaching 5, 10 years ago. But here, every day things are changing. So you have to understand this interplay between man, machine, and nature. How are things changing in the world around us? Education, unfortunately, is missing context, which is what is required, right? Emergence of jobs that we never heard before. AI ethicist, we've never heard about, but those are some of the jobs. So how do you then study a degree which will prepare you for the future, which is unknown, right? That is where the diverse evolving set of skills come into play. Ability to think, reflect, adapt, communicate. Whether you want to be a doctor, a writer, an artist, a psychologist, you will need to do all of these things. So is your university equipping you with transferable skills? That's the question that you need to ask. And I want to bring in Sanjana here, because Sanjana, you are doing mathematics and psychology. That's a very unusual combination. So tell us a little bit about why did you pick that combination? What are you thinking about?
So statistics is a huge part of psychology, surprisingly. And there's also a lot of probability that comes into play, especially when you're designing experiments or conducting any research studies. You use a lot of probability and statistics in that to ensure that whatever results you get from your research studies are actually things that might hold true. And to make sure that you aren't actually making false claims through your research. There's also a lot of critical thinking that mathematics teaches you, which is really important in psychology, because it's a lot of paying attention to finer details, which you learn through maths as well, which is, I've realized, is very applicable in psychology.
Okay, great. So there you have an example of how, subjects talk to each other. And even here, I'd like Sanjana, you to talk. So you came in from the state board, right? HSC, which is very straitjacketed, science, commerce, arts. I know Kendriya students, of course, have an option of taking subjects from other disciplines. But why would you propagate that somebody takes liberal education, for instance, versus, say, a traditional degree? What is the difference really?
I think, first of all, liberal education kind of lets you explore a lot of different fields. which having come from a state board, it kind of restricts you a lot more. It also, the fact that you spend your first year studying a lot of different fields and understanding how things function in different areas, it broadens your perspective as to how the world functions and how you communicate with people and how different things come into, say, your particular major that you decide to pick, which is very integral in understanding and going about in the future later on. It also allows you to like explore and decide and take your time to decide exactly what it is you want to do, because you can't, like, while a lot of the students at Cambria were able to do that, it's not something that everyone can do, and it's also a different level that you get into at a university level, which liberal education lets you explore all of that before you get into anything.
Absolutely. And unlike the myth that, a lot of us use the term liberal arts, it's not just to do with, it's not a subject, by the way. It's not like you can study physics or chemistry or you can study liberal arts. Liberal arts is a way of learning. So liberal arts is where you combine your interests, like how you're doing in Cambridge. You can take biology and music, for instance, and study them together. So you are combining interests and you're making a unique degree for yourself. And there are equal number of sciences, social sciences, humanities, art subjects in liberal education. That's why we use the term liberal education and not really liberal arts. Really. And just to talk a little bit about CREA, right? And I have maybe 5-7 minutes. Let me just introduce CREA and talk about the kind of programs that we offer. So CREA is a fully philanthropic university. We are based very close to Chennai in south of India, right? But unlike most universities in India, it's not one person, one corporate or one company that is starting the university. It's a group of people. And people like Raghuram Rajan from the Reserve Bank of India, former governor of Reserve Bank, Anand Mahindra, who's the head of the Mahindra Group, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, who's a founder of a company called Biocon, which is one of the largest life sciences research company in India, based in Bangalore. John H. Mendy, who's the longest serving provost of Stanford University, which is one of the best universities on earth, right? So people like that have come together to start CREA. And the vision is to create a university in India that will be at par in terms of education with the best in the world, in terms of the intellectual environment, faculty, programs, everything, right? And we are fully financially inclusive, which means that regardless of your family income and what you can afford and what you can't, you can apply to CREA because we have 100% financial aid available. So if you apply to us and join us, and if you can't afford, we have 100% aid available. So you don't have to worry about fees when you're applying to CREA. Of course, getting in is tricky because we have very high, very low selection rates, but it's based on merit. So we'll talk about it. So there are two schools that are under CREA. One is the School of Interwoven Arts and Sciences, where we offer liberal education. And then we have IFMR Graduate School of Business that offers business programs, MBA programs. And then we have research centers that do tons of research in India and around the world. So the research centers are about 50-year-old. And CREA University itself has been around for 3 years now. I won't talk about interwoven learning now because it's a very complicated model. But really what we are trying to do, the gist of interwoven learning model is that we are combining the arts and the sciences. The NEP is now started talking about it, the National Education Policy, but CREA started doing it way before the National Education Policy came out. All our students, for instance, go through writing programs, even if you're in sciences. For instance, as a biologist, how do you write? Or for instance, all our students learn data, even if you want to do humanities, social sciences. So you can't just be a humanities student or a science student at CREA. You have to learn important elements of all the subjects in whatever you do through the first year. We have a BA honors and a BSc honors. These are the degrees that we currently offer. These are 3+1 year programs. Sanjana, do you want to talk about the structure of the program?
Yeah, sure. So in your first year, you do a set of required core and skill courses, which everyone has to do. And then which covers a lot of different disciplines. And then when you get into your second year, we work on a trimester system, which is essentially 3 semesters. And so each trimester, you're doing new subjects. And so in your second year, after your first trimester is over, you have to declare your major. And the first trimester is usually, in your second year, is usually to test out waters, to figure out what it is that you like doing, what you might not want to do, and just figure out which courses are interesting to you. And once you finish your second year, you go into your third year, and that's when you start also doing your capstone thesis, which is kind of like a research-based project which everyone has to do in order to graduate. And usually every summer we're recommended to do internships. While they aren't compulsory, it's always better to do that so you get a more practical experience.
We'll end in maybe 2-3 minutes. So these are the first year courses, and all of them are compulsory. The idea is to give you an overall experience. You come from science or humanities or arts, it doesn't matter to us. You come in and do all of these programs because you should get a first-hand experience of what is it to learn these subjects at a university level. And it's a very big difference while, in school learning to university learning. So you are allowed to do all these subjects. These are the majors and minors that we offer at CREA. So under the division of sciences, we have economics, history, social studies, politics, philosophy, and business studies. Under the sciences, we have biological sciences, computer science, psychology, mathematics, chemistry, physics, and environmental studies. And we have the division of literature and the arts, under which we have literature and global arts. And you can take any combinations of these. You can take any of them as a major, any of them as a minor, any of them as a concentration. We have no subject prerequisites, which means that you can come from humanities and still study the sciences at CREA. So that's a possibility that you can do. In terms of faculty, we have some of the best people in academics who can teach, people who are not just from places like Oxford and Cambridge and Harvard who are teaching full-time, but these are also people who understand of how to teach the humanities and sciences together in a classroom, for instance. For example, we have John Matthew, who's a double PhD. His first PhD is in biology from Harvard, and the second PhD is in history from Old Dominion. So he can pretty much teach you, a lot of things. We're very diverse. We have students from across the country and a large number of students coming from West. So, geographical diversity, socioeconomic diversity, 10% students who study at CREA are first generation undergraduates. They are studying on 100% financial aid. So all kinds of students, again, diversity of interest, curriculum. The campus is located about 70 kilometers north of Chennai. It's a completely residential program, so you have to stay on campus. But the campus has almost everything that you require in a residential facility. Sports, recreation, all of that. And then finally, we have partnerships. I can't talk about this because we're running short of time, but we work with some of the best universities on earth. And you get to do summer programs, research internships, progression for your masters with universities like Chicago, King's College, Berkeley, Stanford, Oxford. We have collaborations with many, many more of these universities. There is a career services office that works with you to get you the kind of internships that you would require and assist you. And I would have asked Sanjana to talk about this, but I'm cognizant of the time. And I'll maybe ask her later, but we have students working in all kinds of companies and areas. And finally, the admission process, we are very holistic. We look for merit. The first stage is an application form wherein you put in your grades, extracurriculars, co-curriculars. We're looking at who you are and not really what your marks are. So that's the first stage. If you get shortlisted, we bring you into an immersion day where there are case studies, group discussions, interactions. It's really testing on how you think. This is the most unique selection process. If you have questions, we can take them towards the end of the session about the selection process. The fees is about 8.7 lakhs per annum. But as I said, if you come from a family with an income of less than 35 lakhs a year, you can apply for financial aid. And we have 100% plus financial aid available. So that's from us. Thank you so much. And any questions you have, both of us are happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful and enlightening session, sir. Thank you so much for your contribution and participation for this event. Vikram sir made us understand that science has a plethora of career choices, and it undoubtedly gives the gate pass to offer any leading career of your choice. And to handhold you in this journey, the international curriculum followed by the Cambria International School and Junior College provide utmost flexibility by offering varied subject options such as business studies, psychology, economics, IT, and many more. We do have all three streams, science, humanities, and commerce, wherein they can explore the subjects based on their choice and interest. With Cambria comes freedom to combine subjects from various streams, which enables pursuing multiple careers simultaneously. It empowers you with a college degree that is valid and valued not only in India but anywhere in the world. I would now request my friend Shivi to take the session further.
The next university we have with us is Ashoka University, and their topic is liberal arts. To edify us about life after liberal education, I would like to welcome our speaker, Mrs. Jinal Shah ma'am. Mrs. Jinal Shah ma'am is an Assistant Director Outreach at Ashoka University. Mrs. Shah has an experience of over a decade in the education industry. With a master's degree in counseling psychology, she has been instrumental in guiding students and parents in making informed career decisions. She has very closely worked in the K-12 and higher education space and can very well connect to all the stakeholders, be it students, parents, and educators. Having closely seen the Indian education fabric evolve, she strongly advocates that we need to shift the needle from knowledge-based education syllabuses to industry transferable skills-based curriculums. I now hand over to Mrs. Jinal Shah ma'am.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, guys, good evening to all of you and a warm welcome. I appreciate the fact that we still have a constant 155 number out here, which means the audience is interested in exploring. And I heard Bipin sir talking about confusion. Yes, the starting point for everything is confusion, and it's great to be confused because from there begins the whole journey of exploring. So I'm going to talk about liberal arts, and my colleague, I think, from Kriya, Vikram has set the context for liberal arts. To break this and liberal education a little, and then I'm going to talk about Ashoka. So first, the word liberal in itself means freedom, the freedom to choose. But often when we look at freedom of choice, it means dropping something and then picking up something. But here we're talking about doing multiple things together. And I think at Cambria, the context is very well set within your institutes where you have the option to look at a lot of choices that you look at. So the current education system actually allows us to pursue a very singular field, and you have to make that decision at a very naive age of 18 and commit to it when you really don't know what you want to commit to. However, if you go back into the traditional education system that existed in our country, we were always liberal in education. Looking at the Gurukul form of education that we had, you look at when the kings and the kingdoms were there, and the kind of education system that existed then, which was where the king was trained on shastra, music, theater, everything in total. But thanks to the Industrial Revolution that came in, and we actually compartmentalized a lot of things. Also, when we're looking at, all of us know Harvard, Yale, Princeton. I mean, these are top-notch universities. It's a pride to be part of these universities. But little do we know that all these universities are actually a liberal art university. You go back and check, and we've spoken so much about Mark Zuckerberg out here, and we spoke about Larry Page. You look at your CEOs of, Starbucks. You look at a CEO of YouTube. You look at Oprah Winfrey. All of these are products of liberal arts. So somewhere we always did it, but in the whole process of the education system and industrialization, we forgot what it was to study holistically And that's the option that liberal art gives you. So giving you an understanding that liberal education is not a degree. So people are confused that, okay, if I pursue liberal education, do I get a BA in liberal education or do I become a BSc? No, you don't get that. So it is basically a pedagogy that is going to teach you multiple subjects. It's like going to Starbucks and you decide that, you know, what kind of coffee combination do you want to have? Or it's like going to a Subway and then saying that, okay, I need this bread, I need these kind of toppings and, you know, salads that I'm going to choose. These are the sauces that I want to add. So coming to a liberal art education is something like that. I want to pick and choose the subjects that I want to study. So at Ashoka, if we have 15 teachers who teach economics, you are the student who will decide that from which teacher I want to study economics. You will choose. With economics, what do I combine? Can I combine and study international relations? Yes, you can. Can you combine and study psychology? Yes, you can. I'm a student of biology, but I also want to look at psychology. Can I do that? Yes, you can. That's the whole idea of doing liberal arts, where you have the whole combination to choose from. Now, we spoke so much about interdisciplinary. And this word, I think, is abused and used to a different level these days. It sounds fancy the moment you say we're doing interdisciplinary learning. But I don't know how many of us really understand, and Bipin sir did try to put it a context to that also. Okay. With that, let me just share one of the slides and then I'll talk about this also. So let me just go and share my screen. Okay, here we go. Is my screen there for all of you? I'm just going to put it on a slide.
Yes, it's visible, ma'am.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I'll put it on a slide. Okay. So yes, coming to the interdisciplinary approach that we're talking about. So till now, till grade 10th, you know, when you're studying, or now at Cambria, because you have an option, you may actually look at different options. But to put it simply, you have an English teacher who comes in and teaches you English and walks out. You have a math teacher who comes in and teaches you math. And then you have a geography teacher who comes in and a science teacher comes in. What are you doing? You are doing multidisciplinary right now. You're doing multiple disciplines. Now, if the same thing had to be put into an interdisciplinary concept, what would you do? You will have an English teacher come into your class and say, okay, this is the book that we're referring to today. In this book, the context and the historical period when this book was written was this. The psychological aspects involved when the writer or the author was writing the book was this. The economy aspect during the same period was this. And you talk about different other aspects. So that makes it interdisciplinary. The real life today, and I'm sure, Bikram has set a very right context to it, that the complexities of 21st century are so much that we've got to make it interdisciplinary. The world is changing so fast. We all are saying, and I think you students have been now overwhelmed with the idea that, world itna fast ho raha hai, to hum kya kare? Like, you know, so the only thing that you can do is make yourself or do things that will allow you to fit into different buckets. Now you here notice that I've put in a T shape, and that says allows breadth and depth. What does that mean? Again, liberal education allows you to go in breadth of the subjects and then go to the depth of the subjects. What does this mean? So if you take up actually the traditional education system that exists today and say after 12th, if you chose sciences, then you go to the depth of science, right? So you will go in and study all under biology, chemistry, physics, and then again you go into the depth of biology. If you take up commerce, you've got nothing to do with biology, then you left that. You're only looking at your subjects related to math, statistics, computation, data analysis. Same goes to humanities. So you're only going the depth way, which is very linear in nature. What is the breadth way of doing it? So in liberal arts, you first explore the breadth, which means you explore different areas and then you choose what do I want to major into. So when you come into Liberal Education Institute, and this stands common, and I would, for all the institutes of liberal education that are there, we allow you to explore. We want you to come confused. even if when you enter into our education institutes, we are saying that fair enough that if you want to come and say that, oh, I want to do psychology majors, I'm very clear. Fine. Still, we'll push you and say that you've got to study other subjects also, because that allows exploration. And believe me, 70% of the times we've seen students after their foundation year, they come back and say, I want to change my majors. And you're allowed to do that. So you're not committing to something when you just don't know what it is like. So coming to focuses now, and this is a very well-known research that exists today, and all I'm sure you'll have heard, that each individual is going to change 7 careers in their lifetimes. And when I say 7 careers, these are 7 different industries that you will work in. Now, in 5 years down the line, you will be probably working in companies that don't exist today. 10 years down the line, you will be working in industries that we don't know what will be like. So what do we then prepare you for? Or what can you study? Because as parents also, and I hope there are some parents out here, you want to think and you want to question yourself saying, Acha, after 5 years, which is the industry which will boom? So let my student choose an industry right now, so that 5 saal ke baad jab wo graduate hoke bahar niklega, so there will be a lot of boom and market mein uska demand hoga. But really, we don't know how to predict that which industry is going to boom after 5 years, 10 years. So the only thing that we can prepare our students right now is skills. And when we say skills, these are transferable skills, which means the student will be, or the individual will be able to transfer the skills irrespective of the industry that he or she is in. So, and what are these things? And these are very well, all of us keep churning these skills and keep talking about it: critical thinking, problem solving, communication, social awareness. These are skills that irrespective of whichever industry you are, you got to have it. Also, I don't know how many of you all know, Google, when they actually hire, in their hiring process, they don't ask you to put your degrees there. All they ask you is, what are your skill set? What skills do you have? We want to hire you based on your skills and not based on your degrees. So yes, the liberal education prepares you for skill-based learning. Okay. So with that context, I just want to bring in Ashoka. So Ashoka University was established in 2014, which is almost 7 years. Ashoka University has been one of the pioneer institutes in the country which established liberal education. It is located in Sonipat, which is like a 20-minute drive from the Delhi border, and it is a fully residential campus. It's spread across 23 acres. Any of y'all have time, please go onto the website and have a look at the video tour, which is there, where you can actually see the blocks, the dorms, all of that. Now, the vision behind Ashoka, and I'm not here to bore you, but I'm just here to give you a context of why this university came in play, and for which I'll just put in some names in, here. I don't know how many of you all know, but these are some popular names in the industry. So Ashish Dhawan is the venture capitalist in the country. Deepak Kalra, we all know MakeMyTrip.com. So he's the founder of MakeMyTrip. We have Sanjeev Bikhchandani, who's the founder of Naukri.com. We have Dilip Sanghvi, who's the founder of Sun Pharma. Pramad Sinha, who's the founder, dean of ISP. Now, I'm not wanting to name all these names out here. The idea is not to highlight their names. The idea is to highlight the backgrounds that they came from. These are diverse backgrounds. You're talking of pharma, you're talking of education, you're talking of, travel industry. All of these people came together, and this is a philanthropic university. To break the word philanthropic university means this is coming out of charity, that the funds that they have donated for people, for education. And so this is not owned by any single person. It's not a corporate that is making profit out of this university. It's a philanthropic university founded by 150 founders. And so there's a lot of diversity in their backgrounds, and that forms the base of the university also. So diverse backgrounds brought in diverse perspectives to the university at the founding level. Coming quickly, and these are technical things, so I'll be very quick on these slides because I would love to spend more time in the Q&A section where I would want to actually know what you guys want to hear from us. So it's an undergrad program. So this is after 3 years. So after your grade 12th, you can apply for a liberal education at Ashoka. It's a 3-year program spread across 6 semesters. And the degree that you get at the end of your 3 years is a BA honors with whatever majors you've chosen, or a BSc honors with whatever majors you've chosen. So foundation course is actually at the linchpin of our liberal education curriculum. This is where it is mandatory for all students, and that's where the breadth that I spoke about comes in play. Then you have your majors and minor combinations to look at in your co-curriculum subjects that you pick and choose. Again, full option here, coming back and reminding you, this is your Starbucks coffee and this is your Subway sandwich. You will choose what you want. And I'll come to the list of what your options are. So the 4th year is an extension of the program, which is a postgraduate diploma in advanced studies. So technically, actually, the program was put into 4 years, but because this is governed by UGC and UGC doesn't allow any non-technical courses to be beyond 3 years. So at 3 years, we offer you a degree. It's your choice. You can take the degree and walk out of the university, or you can extend and take on one more 4th year. But we recommend that you take in because it's an extension of what you've started. The foundation courses, I will not go too much into all the names of the course programs, but these are different programs that set the tone of the breadth that we are talking. These are compulsory programs. You can take them over your 3 years. Coming to the major, minor, and the co-curriculum list, I will not go through the list right now in constraints of the time that we have, but all your pure sciences, humanities, and your social science subjects are out there. You can actually work around these combinations and make some 200 combinations out of it. And these are amazing combinations to look at. Just to give an example, imagine that you're majoring in political science and you've taken international relations as your minor. What a lethal combination to have if you're looking at anything in the industry. Or for that matter, you're doing your English and you're doing creative writing. So these are different combinations. You can also choose any of your minors, drop your minors, and you can pick it from the majors list also. Summers and semesters abroad, this to me is very unique and something that I believe that a student should experience. So what this means is that you would do like a 4 weeks of summer abroad in any of our partner universities, or an entire semester abroad. What this means is the diverse experience that you get sitting in a classroom with minds across the globe. So these opportunities we keep offering to our students. Also, it means that you're not paying anything to do a summer abroad. It's only your travel cost, but you're not paying any tuition towards the summer or semester program abroad. Coming to the holistic admission process, I may not talk too much about it, but what I want to emphasize is that if you are looking at applying to liberal arts education university, be it Ashoka or anywhere, the preparation time is now. Because these universities, and stands true for all of them, is we are not just looking at your marks. It's not your 10th, 11th, and 12th marks that will get you an entry into the university. We don't want bright students. We want right students coming to us. And that's where the preparation to apply to these universities is something that you can do from now onwards. And so just talking about what the process is so that you know what you can be prepared for. So we look at your academic scores across your 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. So it's not just 1 year. Well, I mean, we know that students usually 10th hai, boards hai, put all pressure, study hard and score amazing. 12th hai, boards hai, do the same. We're also looking at what your 9th scores were, what your 11th scores were. You know, is there a consistency across your scores? Again, SAT and ACT is not mandatory. Not mandatory, I'm repeating, because a lot of students get the pressure that no, we've got to take a SAT score. No, not required. Personal essays, and this is very important part of our application process. When I say personal essay, it's personal, the word is out there. It's not an essay writing thing. you have to personalize your essay with the prompt. We want to know who you are as a student, what your thinking process is like, how do you synthesize information, how do you kind of put it on a paper, all of that. Letter of recommendations and your non-academic engagement. The word is engagement and not certificates. इंडियन माइंडसेट है सर्टिफिकेट जमा करो, बचपन से लेके जितना मेडल मिला है, जितना सर्टिफिकेट्स है, सब जमा करो. बट वी आर नॉट लुकिंग एट जस्ट सर्टिफिकेट्स. आजकल तो पार्टिसिपेशन सर्टिफिकेट, ये वेबिनार अटेंड करने का भी एक पार्टिसिपेशन सर्टिफिकेट मिल सकता है, बट वी आर नॉट लुकिंग एट दोस काइंड ऑफ सर्टिफिकेट्स. वी आर लुकिंग एट हाउ एंगेज्ड हैव यू बीन in any area that is of your interest. It could be sports, it could be debate, it could be social service, it could be anything. But we're looking at how deeply have you been involved in. And these are things that I think you can prepare yourself from right now if you're looking at applying for these institutes. Coming to other technicalities, there's a AAA, which is an aptitude test, and there's an on-the-spot essay. Again, on-the-spot essay is not to test your knowledge, but to test how do you actually react on the spot and how do you kind of flow with the prompt that is given to you. Post that, if you clear this, you have an interview round, then you get an admission offer. I'm not going to talk too much on that front, but coming to the stage 4, which is the financial aid. Remember in my first slide, I said this is a philanthropic university. It is funded by the funds that these 150 donors have given. The fund is not to keep it with us, but to give it out to students who really need it. So once, if you filled in the application process, form, you cleared the interview, you got an offer, but here is where you think you may not be able to financially afford the fees of Ashoka, then Ashoka will completely bear that on us. So that's on us. No student ever has been denied any admission into our institute due to financial constraints. And I'll mention the fees here, and then, so the fees is 9.87 lakhs per annum. And giving an example, so when you look at 9.87 and you think, oh my God, this is almost like 10%, and I'll be candid, yes, it's 10 lakhs per year. So you're looking at a 30 lakh for 3 years. Probably my parents can't afford. As a parent, you're thinking that this is amazing, but I don't think I can give this to my child, you know. So what do? You apply for financial aid. We look at and evaluate what is the percentage that you can support your student, or what is that you can take up. If you think you can only take 10% of this, the entire balance 90% is what Ashoka will bear. And when we say this, it's not just on papers. We've done this for so many years. Until now, this is a statistics from 2023, 42% students have been offered financial aid. 102 students are on full scholarship. When I say full scholarship, this means tuition fee, residential fee, your meals, everything are paid. 6.3% are from family incomes below 2 lakhs and 6% are first generation goers. So do not eliminate that I shouldn't apply because it's 10 lakhs. Apply if you are the right candidate. Funding is Ashoka's responsibility. The application form is also free of cost. We are not even charging there because we don't want students to not apply. The diversity at Ashoka, I think because of we will be running out of time, I'm not going to talk too much about. Very quickly, there are 4 rounds. So you can apply in any round. There is no first come, first basis. You can apply at your comfort whenever you want to. These deadlines are all on the website. Right now, this is for the last year, but soon this will be updated as well. Very important campus life, and I'm going to quickly talk about this. This is the most important part. You know, मुझे कोई पूछता है ना life का best part क्या था? तो life का best part was college life. And when you say college life, of course, education was important, but it's also the peer learning. It's also the experiences that you got while you were at the campus. You know, those inter-college competitions, when you participated in different clubs. That's something that builds to your experience. So quickly, because it's a residential campus, I mentioned there are fully furnished dorms, men's room, women's room. Security may be a concern for a lot of parents. There's warden, there is cameras, there is first aid. All of that is available round the clock, tuck shops, everything. Clubs and societies, there are 55 plus clubs and societies, right from your fashion to dance to theater to cycling, you name it, it's there. And if you don't find it, and if you find like-minded people, you can actually form your own club on the campus also. Sports and fitness, everything that you can expect. I don't think we're missing on any sport in the list till now. placements and higher education. So a lot of parents also, and we are an Indian middle class parent. ROI क्या है? Return on investment क्या है? इतना खर्चा करने के बाद क्या होगा? Engineer से better placement मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा? So these are questions, and these are very valid questions to ask, you know. So to tell you, and this has been a research which has been done, where and so graduates who passed out of liberal education versus graduates who passed out of engineering colleges or management and business colleges, 10 years down the line, almost they are on par, or liberal education students are above. But as far as skills are concerned, they are way beyond any typical traditional Indian education system. Coming to placements, these are numbers. So 550 students got placed, 250 plus companies, median salaries being 10 lakhs, the highest salaries being 25. We need to revise it. We just got an update where a student was offered by Google 33 lakhs. And these are different recruiters. I'm not going to talk more, but these are names that all of us know. These are top brands, Fortune 500 companies, all of those. That's it. Here are my details for all of you, just to make a note in case if you need to get in touch with me. I will end here because I want to spend more time on Q&A, and I hope I've not exceeded the time. But yes, with that, I'll stop here and we look for more questions in the Q&A section. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such a magnificent session. Thank you so much for your contribution and participation for this event. As Jeenal ma'am enlightened us about life after liberal education, I would like to appreciate how our teaching methods are aimed at developing 21st century skills like communication, critical thinking, collaboration, and creativity in our students in a holistic way to make them future ready. Our practical based learning helps improve student engagement and knowledge retention. Students are empowered with a number of personality and skill development programs, which makes them sociable, sharper, and competitive. TCIS also assists students in preparing for competitive exams. I would now request my friend Jia to take the session further.
Thank you, Shivi. So the next university we have with us is Alliance University, and the topic is Future Learning Post-COVID. For yet another thought-provoking and informative session, I welcome our next speaker for today, Dr. Sheila Mahapatra ma'am, Associate Professor and HOD of Alliance College of Engineering and Design. She was awarded PhD in Electrical Engineering from the North Cap University, Gurugram, India. She received her BTech degree in Electrical Engineering from Utkal University, Orissa, and MTech in Power Systems and Automation from Andhra University, Andhra Pradesh in 2002 and 2008 respectively. She was the batch topper while pursuing her master's degree from Andhra University, Andhra Pradesh. She has a total experience of 15 years in the field of engineering, research, and academics. Her areas of interest include power system optimization, fact devices, sustainability, renewable energy, and energy economics. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes. So good evening, and it's great to have enthusiastic children. Great to see a huge number of children still logged in, and I was hearing all the previous speakers, and I really appreciate the take on how the education scenario and the education hub in India is emerging into a more diversified way. So we have liberal education coming up in a big way. Nevertheless, how the entire education roadmap is changing is something that we need to understand while we discuss on the various career choices. I'm Dr. Sheila. I'm from Alliance University. Just don't know why I'm not able to change the slide. Is there someone who can help me? Because I'm not able to move the slide. Organizer, someone can kind of...
Amol sir, please look into it.
I really
Hello. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, you can just share the PPT again.
Yeah, but even if I'm pressing escape, I'm not able to move.
You're joined to an iPad or?
No, laptop only. Let me just share it. Yes, thank you. So if you look at career planning process, there are so many things which comes to our mind when we think of a right career choice. If you think very suitably into it, there are basic 3 steps which would help us take us in the right path. So one is, if we understand what our core competency is, what is that particular field which I would like to take up, which would give me a passion for that. So that is basically assessing yourself, your inherent strength. So when I'm saying inherent strength, you can be a person who is inherently having a very good communication skills. So look for a career choice which will be, helpful in that way. Like you can be a lawyer, or you can be someone into a media profession. So that is where you have a good communication skill. You can have a great career option in that way. So that is how you need to, get into that entire idea of choosing for a right career. Now, one thing which all of us have been experiencing, in fact, the COVID-19 pandemic, it has affected the entire globe in an unprecedented manner. And this has been almost 2 years. We all are trying to survive and struggle through these situations. It's extremely difficult. But then, with all these adversities, if you look at the positive aspect, there has been some industries, some industries had seen a huge rise, a tremendous growth. So one negative aspect to it, there has been a lot of unemployment across the globe. And many of the industries, let's say the tourism, or let's say the hotel industries, they have seen some of the most difficult times. But then if you look at e-commerce, if you look at healthcare, if you look at pharmaceuticals, there has been a steady increase in their profile. So on one end, when we are saying that the COVID-19 pandemic has led to a disastrous effect on some industries, there are some other industries which have done fairly well and which are in fact showing growth. I can give you an example of the IT sector. So yes, many of the IT industries have told their employees that you can work from home even for the next 2 years. So what does it mean? That means they are having profit, and they have understood that work from home is really doing wonders. They don't have to invest on having a huge infrastructure. So that is how the adaptability to a situation actually helps. So it is not about the COVID-19 pandemic. If you look back in history, whether it was the Spanish flu or the plague, for any pandemic for that effect, the way mankind has reacted to such a disaster is, it has always led to an industrial revolution. So in the current pandemic that we are in, we have actually had an industrial revolution, and that is a digital revolution. So the reason why we are interacting with each other, I sitting at Bangalore and someone else in some other places, we may not have thought of something like this previously. So earlier we had workshop, today we are having webinars. So that is how the things have transformed. So there is a complete realignment. We are doing things in a different way. So how do we realign ourselves? How do we reinvent and rework towards a better future? So that is exactly, so one thing that is helping us here is the technology. So that is where we can see that if you look at this pandemic, it is technology which has seen an increase. That is one of the area which has increased tremendously. So if you look at this slide, so the first thing, as I told you, technology, IT, e-commerce, digital marketing. So these are some of the avenues, some of the areas which has in fact developed a lot thanks to this pandemic. Now, another thing which I would like to discuss here is, as I told you, opportunities are created in adversities. So what we exactly need to know is how to reinvent ourselves and take up a career or choose a career option, develop new skills. So what is exactly needed to be done? Well, you need to be adaptable. You need to understand to diversify. You need to have a problem solving ability. So where do all these things come from? How are we supposed to get these things? Well, it depends on how we are trained towards these things. And that is only possible by understanding the change in the education system. So here comes, so when we are saying change in the education system, yes, there are many universities, mostly in the higher education institution, they have already started working in that front. Well, before NEP 2020 also, the higher education institution, they have been transforming themselves because most of the higher education institution, they work in a way that the students are ready to go and work in industry and establish themselves. So generally the higher education institution try to train the students as industry ready. So besides that, now with NEP 2020, the entire educational roadmap will be transformed starting from the foundation level itself, which starts at the very beginning, that is the school level. A lot of focus on interdisciplinary skills, that is excellent. Lot of emphasis on skill development, that is another USP. And of course, no clear-cut demarcation between science, commerce, or humanities. So a student is free to choose anything, any subject, combine any subject which suits his passion, and at the same time, craft a career in a similar way. Now, another important thing which we need to understand in this decision-making process of crafting your career is, there is a lot of ambiguity when we come to ambition versus reality. So there are many things associated with that. I might be wanting to be a lawyer and go for a national law school, but maybe my grades are not great enough. Maybe I'm not able to go through that entrance process. So that doesn't mean it is the end of the road. So please understand, the brands, maybe IIM or IIT or National Law School do matter. But at the end of it, what really matters is how you learn, what you learn, and how you develop yourself. So as I was telling you, a career choice is basically a culmination of exploration of self, understanding the right career choice, and planning for your future. And considering that the world is changing in a very dynamic way, technology every day is emerging, new things are emerging. So your interest, your skill set, your qualification, your personality, all these things would actually contribute in your career development process. So as I was telling you, for any higher educational institution, so they have already started transforming themselves, making way into the latest trends. So what are the basic takeaways. So you need to have alternative credential programs. That means with the existing education system, how it is being revamped to address the futuristic trends. So even if you are opting for engineering, and even if you're going for engineering in computer science or electrical or mechanical or any of the branch as such, how do you opt for a choice which is new, which is novel, or which will be something which will give you an edge over others? Then there are numerous association with industry. So when you have a corporate tie-up, when the higher education institution are giving you industrial certified courses, certified programs, then that helps you understand what exactly is going on in industry. That means we are trying to eliminate the redundancy in the syllabus, and we are trying to bring in a curriculum which is more technologically driven with respect to the latest trend. So coming from an university which has a legacy of many years, we have achieved many milestones so far, so good. But I would say that we are not at all complacent in that way. We believe in reinventing and transforming ourselves with respect to research, innovation, and teaching deliverables. So we are one of the first private university to be established in India. In fact, so if you look at this slide, yes, this is telling about the kind of achievement that we have, but I'll tell you, the journey has just begun. Well, I would definitely say that Alliance University being located in Bangalore is one advantage we have is that our students have a lot of employment opportunities. Bangalore being the IT hub, and it has almost more than 20,000 MNCs, and of late there is another sobriquet which has been added to Bangalore. It is said to be the startup capital of India, and in fact we have many of our students who are readily moving and starting. They have worked with some industry. Let's say they're working in some industry with respect to renewable sector, learning those, and then coming up and developing great startups on their own. So this is just a bird's eye view of the campus. If you can see, we are blessed with 75 plus acres of lush green campus with all the amenities, excellent infrastructure, one of the world-class infrastructure that you can visualize in India. In fact, I would request you to have a look at our website to know more about it. I would not go much deep into describing about the university. It's there in the website, but I would definitely like to speak on how we are developing ourselves as one of the futuristic university. Well, looking at the various programs that we offer, yes, we actually started off as a business school, so it happens to be a flagship offering. But then in 2010, when we became the university, we had several other schools like the Alliance College of Engineering and Design, Alliance School of Law, and very recently, we started off with 5 new schools in digital technology, in liberal arts, in humanities, and applied mathematics. So please do visit the website to get a better view and idea about all these new schools and new opportunities. So the idea here is to take forward the concept of NEP 2020, because by 2030, as per the government plan, all the higher educational institutions would tend to be interdisciplinary. So that is the basic roadmap that we are following. And whatever courses that we are offering right now, there is a lot of emphasis on the recent trends. For example, in business school, we are focusing more on training our children towards e-commerce or data analytics, because data analytics is something which is the need of the hour, because we are surrounded with data. Now, coming down to the Alliance College of Engineering and Design. So I am basically a part of ACED, or Alliance College of Engineering and Design. I will not speak much of, what are the offerings or courses, but yes, I'll tell you how we are trying to address the future generation. Like we have the traditional courses of electrical and electronics engineering. But then considering, the paradigm shift that is taking place from the fossil fuels to the renewable sector, we are one of the very few private universities to start with energy engineering. So when I am speaking of energy engineering, it is taking into account some of the most recent trends which is coming up. Number one, electric vehicle technology. So energy engineering is something which will cover or encompass the knowledge on EVs. A lot of emphasis has been given on EVs to move from the IC engines towards the electric vehicles. That will speak about energy storage management or energy management. That will address issues on sustainability or green technology or green energy. Further, on e-mobility. So these are some of the areas. Smart grids, because one of the important changes that is taking place with respect to the power sector is gradually transforming the existing grids into smart grids. Another important aspect here is, I think most of you must have heard about IoT, Internet of Things. So many of us think, yes, if it is IoT, it must be linked with computer science. Let me tell you, IoT is a completely interdisciplinary concept. So these are the things which you can take up, not necessarily restrict yourself to the traditional courses, but you can definitely diversify. Let's say you have opted for mechanical engineering. So we are offering specialization on robotics and IoT. That is such a unique combination. If you are going for computer science engineering, we are offering specialization on AI, ML. We are offering specialization on data analytics. Now, many of you may not have heard, there is a new buzzword, Internet of Energy. So Internet of Energy is basically application of AI, application of IoT in the power or energy sector. So these are some of the things or some of the new avenues which we are thinking of training our future technocrats. And what we believe here is we are not focusing on, more of the grades. We are focusing on making them industry ready. And one of the innovative concepts that we have introduced is the design thinking. So the students have formed interdisciplinary groups, and they work in teams to develop a final year project, which can be modified as a product. So this is about the law. So in law also, we have taken up some of the most contemporary courses, let it be in IPR or cyber laws. We have the School of Commerce. I'll not go much into details in this. Well, another important aspect is many of the students, they aspire to go abroad for their higher studies. Here, I would suggest that I think in India, we are well equipped with most of the courses, but then there are few courses which are really relevant in terms of the modern day world. So we do have an offering in terms of short-term and long-term international programs. So this is exactly what I was speaking about, industry certification, new age programs, upskilling the existing skill. And if you look at the placement, the placement is not restricted to one particular sector. If you can look at the pie chart, it revolves around various areas, maybe in consumer goods, IT, financial sector, or services and healthcare. And these are some of our recruiters. This is just a representative list. There is many more to it. Well, this is just a view of one of the sessions that we were having. This is the classroom. So that's all from my end, and it'll be great if I hear from you all. You can reach out to me or to anyone in the admission team or in Alliance University. The website is given, the email ID is given. Thank you. It was great interacting with you all.
Important announcement before we move further, we are posting the feedback link in the chat box. I request all of you to fill the feedback form by the end of the session. That was indeed very worthwhile information you have shared with us, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your contribution and participation for this event. Moving forward, as we say, the future belongs to those who learn more skills and combine them in creative ways. Our internship and profile building program aids students to develop practical skills and experience while gaining exposure to the desired career. We do have MUN, that is Model United Nations, a platform that enables students to voice out their opinions on social, economic, and political issues. Cambria also has its own in-house career counseling cell and also has tied up with leading career guidance platform where students can explore and learn about various new age and futuristic career options. Now I request my friend Sakshi to take this session forward.
Dear participants, we have posted the feedback link in the chat box. I request all of you to kindly fill it as the session ends. So, I'm sure you all have n number of questions running in your mind right now, and you just want all of them to get cleared. Don't worry, as now we will be heading towards the question answer session where the speakers will answer your queries in the best way possible. So, without any further ado, let's begin with the question answer session. I request all the participants to post the questions to the user Cambria Q&A. We already have few questions. So this is a common question for all the three universities. Is portfolio making important and how it will help me in future?
Okay, I'll take that. So yes, portfolio making is important. It's not just because you want to apply to a university that you should build a portfolio. The whole idea of building a portfolio is it's a whole process of self-evaluation and introspection that you get into while you're building the portfolio. So when you start the process, you may not really know, and the intention may be that because this university is asking or because I want to apply here, banana padega. But that journey itself will take you to some area and a point where you'll realize and so much about yourself. So yes, portfolio building is important. You should get into it. See, academics is technical. Now, because you have to. So 11th karna hai, 12th karna hai, that's compulsory. Portfolio building is something that gives you the freedom to do beyond that. Something that you like to do, something that reflects yourself. So yes, to me, and this stands across, and I'll answer for all universities across India, globe, portfolio building, profile building is very, very important. Yeah.
I request Mr. Vikram Patel sir to please speak.
Absolutely. Hi. So I think the question came from, I don't know whether I'm right, it came from a student who want to get into either arts or design, because usually art and design schools like an NID or a Shrishti would ask for a portfolio. That's the popular definition of a portfolio. But let me make this let me talk about a little bit about how do you build your profile, in many ways, right? Good universities around the world. Right? I'm not talking about the traditional universities, for instance, which only looks at grades. But any university, whether it is a Kriya or an Oxford or an Ashoka, would look for your profile, which is both academic and non-academic, in terms of what have you done, for instance, right? Your academics does not give us everything about you. We are not just worried about whether you've got a 99% or a 95% or an 85%, and what does it talk about. We want to know what have you done outside of the classroom. So for instance, I get a lot of students who say, sir, I'm very interested in psychology. I'm like, okay, great. What have you done to explore that interest? Have you done an online course to understand what psychology means? Have you taken an internship, for instance, where you worked with a psychologist? Have you tried to read more about it? Have you done any research on it, where you published something, where you've written a document, where you've taken that subject and done something with it? How have you explored your academic interest? That is a big question that is part of your profile. The second thing is, what have you done in terms of extracurriculars? Sports, music, theater, community service, internships. So many things are available today for students to show that they have merit, right? I'm sure your school organizes so many activities. You have a lot of opportunities within your school to show leadership skills, to show collaboration, to show enterprise, to show open-mindedness, to show curiosity. have you actually started a new club in your school? Or if you've been a part of an old club, what have you done to change? Or what have you learned from your experiences of being a part of the club? So as you know, as I think someone else was also saying, it's not just about the number of certificates. What have you learned from each of those certificates is more important to us. If you participated in a Model United Nations, I know in Bombay, that's a very popular one, right? Everybody participates in one or the other MUN. We just don't want that certificate from you saying, okay, I participated in an MUN. What did you learn? Probably somebody who wants to go into international trade or policy or governance, MUN can be the best experience of their lives if they've participated well. We want to know what have you done in that. That for us is a portfolio. So when you talk about everything that you've done inside a classroom, outside a classroom, to me, truly, that's what means portfolio. If I don't know if I've answered it right, but
I now request Sheila Mahapatra ma'am to please contribute.
Regarding the same question of making a portfolio?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So portfolio is, it actually speaks about the personality of a person. So it gives us an idea of judging that individual. So when we are saying judging the individual, it does not only, restrict itself to the educational qualification. To some extent, we come to know that individual also as a person, right? So I think it's a part and parcel of, building yourself towards a professional road. So yes, it's definitely it's important.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question is, combination of subject will help in future, like science with business studies. So does a college accept it?
can I go? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk of one business problem that does not involve politics and philosophy and psychology today. Business is, your business problems are not just business problems. And it involves, like, I don't know how many of you have seen this. I don't know how many of you like sports. If anybody saw the Euros, there was one episode where Ronaldo picked up a Coke bottle, and you saw the repelling effect that happened on Coke stocks. Everybody in the world was talking about that incident. And Coke is a business at the end of the day, right? They are working with Euros. They're one of the main sponsors. And what happened? So that involved sports management, that involves image building, that involved mentality of how people think, for instance, right? How Ronaldo promotes healthy living, and he, doesn't accept he doesn't want to promote any sugary drinks, for instance. And that's a business, and look at how many aspects you have to that problem. Today, for you to become a good businessman, you have to understand consumer behavior, which comes from subjects like psychology. You have to understand ethical business decisions, which comes from subjects like philosophy. You have to understand politics. You've seen how politics impacts which companies, manufacturing plants come in which state, for instance. And there's so much that is happening. So you have to understand politics. You have to understand economics in a very big way. How companies are working with each other. How does international trade affect your business? So business, and it's not just about marketing, finance, and HR and operations that make businesses and great ideas. It's really critical thinking, analyzing, and problem solving. And for that, you need both the sciences and the arts. So definitely, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Okay, I request Jinal Shah ma'am to please speak.
I just have a suggestion. I think what any of us are answering is going to be an answer commonly standing for all of us, so that we can take more questions.
Yes.
So take up questions, and then any of us will answer. So we'll be able to take more questions like that.
Sure, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
have
so
a question.
next-
As you all are representing the universities, morning also we had asked Symbiosis and all the NIMS and Flame University. So like in AS level, student University of Cambridge giving them option of opting only 3 subjects in 12th grade. there are many universities who are not accepting admission in 12th. They want 5 subjects in 12th grade. So please let us know your university say on that. Suppose a child from AS level, he will pursue only 3 subjects in 12th. So what is your university procedure? They will give the admission with the 3 subjects or not? Would like to understand. And this question you all can ask, give an answer, because every university has their own way. Yes, Ms. Jinal would like to understand. Ashoka is giving admission if the child
Sure.
is having only 3
Okay.
subjects in 12th.
Yes, I'll represent Ashoka and I'll answer that for Ashoka. So even if you have 3 subjects, you can apply at Ashoka. The only requisite here is that for specific subjects like economics, computer sciences, mathematics, and physics, if you're looking at it, physics is mandatory. Rest, you can apply for any of the subjects and there'll be no restrictions there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Even for Kriya, a minimum of 3 subjects, 3 A-level subjects is enough to apply.
Yes, ma'am. Alliance also.
Yeah, a minimum of 3 subjects. But then if someone is opting for, let's say for engineering, then we do require a knowledge of mathematics. So those are some of the criteria.
Great. This is something I must appreciate these universities, because that is the traditional way that I must study for the 6 subject, whether I'm interested or not. And then there are some students who are interested only 2 or 3 subjects. They don't want to go other subject. So it's a good thing. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, student, you can take any other questions.
Yes, sir. So there is a question for Kriya University. What is the selection criteria for Kriya University?
Yeah. So as I said, right, I mean, our selection process is very different from traditional Indian universities, right? We are not just looking at academics. We are looking at a holistic profile. So when somebody is interested in applying to Kriya, there are 2 stages of selection. The first stage is an online application form that somebody is supposed to fill, right? This is very similar to when you're applying to universities abroad. There is a personal story that is required, which is really a reflection on who you are. So the underlying term is actually self and social awareness, writing about what you like, what you don't like, talking about your life and instances about your life. So that's an essay that you have to write. Then we look at academics from the 9th onwards, 9th, 10th, 11th, and predicted for grade 12th. So universities like Kriya, we don't wait for the final board exams to come out, results to come out. You can apply much before. Like all of you who are studying in the grade 12th can apply this year in October to Kriya, right? So academics is one part, then extracurriculars and co-curriculars. So we look at Olympiads, online courses, research papers, everything that you've done. And then we also look at SAT and ACT scores, but that is optional. You don't have to give them. That's the first stage. If you get shortlisted from the first stage, we bring you into something called an immersion day. And really most universities do an interview or a test in the second stage, right? For Kriya, it's an entire day's process where you have case studies, for instance. We want to really understand how do you think, or what is your passion, or what do you think of, what are the ways in which you think. Post that, there's a reflective essay which is on the spot that you're supposed to write. Then we put you in teams of 5 or 6 students to understand how do you work in a diverse environment. How do you talk to students who are not like you, for instance? So there is a group discussion and a group presentation. There is a one-on-one interaction with the faculty. And there is a paper on quantum logical reasoning. So it might actually sound very tenuous and long, but it's actually a fun learning process. You don't have to prepare at all for applying to Kriya.
Okay, thank you, sir. So there is a question for all the universities. Do any of them have a course for graphic design?
I and Vikram both are smiling here because we both come from a background of institutes that have been offering graphic design. So yes, but at Ashoka, there's no graphic design. And there are other institutes, the top institutes are NID and IFT where you can look at, and there are a lot of private institutes in the space that do offer. And the students can research, but to my knowledge, Pearl and ISDI are the ones in Mumbai that do offer graphic design, and students can explore those.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. And so the last question is, do we have to submit essays to get selected in any of the three universities? If yes, then what are we expected to write in the essays?
Can I speak?
Yes.
So, well, Alliance, for Alliance, you don't have to write an essay. We have our own entrance exam that is called as AUSET. After that, we have a personal interview session. So in that personal interview is basically to assess the strength and weakness of a student, not to disqualify the student, but we understand basically what is the kind of grooming that is needed. Okay, and we also give a lot of emphasis on whole round holistic development in the sense that if a student has extracurricular achievements in national level or state level, in fact, we have many students who have been, great in sports, they have excelled, at the same time, they have done great in academics. So that is how we look at a student's profile, right?
Do you want us to answer that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so different universities have different cues on writing essays, right? So some universities might give you prompts saying, okay, write about sustainability. Or what do you think about sustainability in the world? Or write about global warming, or write about anything. They might give you topics. So then you write about that topic. But some universities keep it open-ended, like Kriya, for instance. We don't give you a topic, and that is more difficult to write because you don't know what to write. But most of the times it is called a personal story or a statement of purpose. Again, both of those are different. A statement of purpose really is saying, okay, I'm a student who's interested in economics. This is why I'm interested in economics. And this is what I want to do. If I get into your university, this is what I plan to study. And after that, this is what I want to do. It's very futuristic. Personal story is also about your past, along with the future. We are writing really about yourself. Like if you were, that is a section which actually makes you more than an application number. Universities get thousands of applications. How do you stand out, right? So your personal story is where you are telling the truth about you, of who you are. 17, 18 years of your life. What has made you the person that you are today? And for that, one of the exercises that you need to do is reflecting on what you like. Many of the times we don't ask these questions to ourselves. I don't know how many of you thought about it, but you say, I like computers, I like biology, I like economics. Why? Have you done the deep dive to understand what in the last 3-4 years influenced this interest? Is it a teacher? Is it a project that you did? Is it an interview that you saw? What inspired you? Right? So a little bit of reflection and awareness about yourself and awareness about the society that we live in. So writing about that, write about your strengths, but also more importantly, write about your failures. Because successes are celebrated a lot, but we don't, your ability to cope up with failures is one of the biggest strengths that you have as students, right? We are moving towards a world that is more and more uncertain. There will be more and more that we don't know that we know. Are you comfortable with things that you don't know? So write about those experiences. That really is a personal story. I don't know if Chinal had anything to add to this.
Okay. Just in context of Ashoka, yes, Ashoka does give you a prompt, and you've got to maneuver over the prompt. The idea is to see how do you read the prompt, how do you interpret it, and how do you represent it. Also, what are the various angles that you bring in on that prompt area? So yes, at Ashoka, the essays are, there is a structure given, and then we want to see how do you maneuver over the structure. Yeah.
So there is a last question for all the universities. Do they accept transfer?
Sakshi, we lost you in between.
Yeah,
we didn't hear what you said.
Sorry, is do they accept applicants? If yes, what is the eligibility?
Sakshi, your voice is dropping and we are not able to hear you clearly. Could you please repeat?
Am I audible now, ma'am?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'm so sorry for the connectivity
No,
issue.
absolutely. That's okay.
Okay, so do all these universities accept transfer applicants? If yes, what is the eligibility?
Yes, we do accept transfer applicants also. It's not a one-word answer that actually I can give. There's a lot of technicalities involved into a transfer applicant. Of course, on the website, there is a section which talks about the transfer applicant, and you can kind of go through that. But to put it, yes, it's open. There is an acceptance to it. Yes.
I mean, most of these universities, transfers are not easy, right? Because they have very unique curriculums. Our learning methods are very different from most universities. So you will have to get into matching of transcripts and actually what did you learn in 1 year? Does it match to what we have? And if not, how many courses do you have to do? How many can we let go of? So it's a long process, but it's possible.
So how much weightage you are giving for the letter of recommendation, LOR?
So I'm going to say something very controversial, but actually we don't require any LORs. One of the things that we've done with, because what we've realized is very few schools, unfortunately, so it focuses on LORs. Otherwise, it's a template that is given to all the students, not, and mostly only talks about praises. It doesn't talk about critically analyzing a student. So we don't require any LORs.
Okay.
Yeah, at Ashoka, yes, we do require a LOR. But yes, with what Vikram mentioned, we realized that the templates are coming in, and at the same time, the LOR is given to the student, and the student again makes those changes and submits. So here we have a unique process where once you've submitted your application, the link for the LOR goes directly to the person that you put and nominated there. So the student doesn't get to see the LOR. So this is kept confidential. And here we are requesting that either the school principal, the school teacher, or the counselor, or anybody outside this person's family can write a LOR. The whole perspective is to see a student from somebody else's perspective. So if I'm a student, I'm going to write a lot of things about myself, but something which may be my blind spot, which I don't know, but somebody who knows me very well will be able to identify and write. So that's why we we look at LOR in a perspective. But as I said, it's a very holistic perspective. It's not a weightage that we give it. We look at it in a whole sum of the AAA plus the student's application and the LOR put together. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, I don't know, we are having more questions, but I would like to say thank you, Mr. Vikram, Regina, Ms. Sheetal, Ms. Sheila. Thank you for joining us. And what the crux, what I have understood is interview, the statement of purpose, the essay writing, and the all profile building. These are the important factors you look for in the students. So all the students who are attending event, please try to understand these are the new these are not the traditional universities who are giving only emphasizes on marks, but they are really wanted to see who you are. As like I was mentioning, we cannot ask all answer to the Google and say, who am I? We need to find out who am I actually. So through all this process, definitely it will help you to find yourself. And once we will know who am I, then it's easy to work in this world. Modus operandi will become very easy. So thank you for joining us. Over to you, student. If you're having more questions, please ask quickly, or else we can go ahead with the next step for the program. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you. Now we are done with the questions. I would like to invite my friend Chaitanya to propose the vote of thanks.
No event is complete without thanking the people behind making the event a success. Hence, on the behalf of Cambria International School and Junior College, I would like to extend deep gratitude to each and everyone who has joined us today. Let me first start by giving glory to Almighty God for making today's session a resounding success. On the behalf of Cambria International School, I extend my most sincere thanks to our Honorable CMD, Mr. Bipin Pote sir, who has enlightened us with his knowledge, which is full of thought-provoking and interesting things, which gives deep insight into the topic. I would like to express our deep gratitude to Sir for his presence and continuous guidance. With deep reverence and gratitude, I would like to thank our respected Managing Trustee, Mrs. Minal Pote ma'am, who is the backbone of our TCIS family. Let me also express my gratitude towards Vice President, Business Development Head, and Trustee, respected Mr. Bhushan Kute sir. I extend my sincere thanks to our beloved and respected Principal Ma'am, Mrs. Hina Falke Ma'am, for her valuable presence and her inspiring words of wisdom, for being a constant source of motivation. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to our respected HR, Ms. Bina Nair ma'am, and respected Pre-K Head Coordinator, Ms. Sabita Rao ma'am, for their constant support. I would like to give my hearty thanks to the speakers of the day, Mr. Vikram Patel sir from Kriya University, Mrs. Jinal Shah ma'am from Ashoka University, and Dr. Sheila Mahapatra ma'am from Alliance University for giving their precious time and providing such an important information to all of us. I am sure that everyone has got a lot of takeaways from the session and will definitely use the knowledge gained to prepare for the future in the best way possible. Last but not the least, permit me to mention our appreciation and gratitude to respected Suryalata Shetty ma'am, respected Amol sir, respected Makran Oak sir, and the entire TCIS teaching and non-teaching staff for their constant support and guidance. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank the entire student community for their valuable contribution to make this event a grand success. As it is truly said that to make an event reach its destination is the endless effort of the entire team. I hereby conclude by wishing luck to all the learners present. I am sure you youngsters have definitely acquired immense treasure of knowledge and are going to imbibe it in the future. Thank you, all of you. Have a pleasant day.
Just the last thing before ending, I would request all the participants to kindly fill the feedback link without fail. It is posted in the chat box. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.